Meu coração, não sei porquê, bate feliz.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Italian-born, Baltimore-based jazz vocalist and composer Irene Jalenti. She talked with the program about her life and music and her debut 2021 CD called Dawn. On this long-awaited debut album, she claims a place in the jazz world for her musical talents, featuring guest appearances by two international cats, trumpeter Sean Jones and vibraphonist Warren Wolf. She is from the central Italian region of Umbria and came from a musical family. Her father was a record store owner and immersed her in all sorts of music and encouraged her to take piano lessons from a very early age. She has a great story. Enjoy.
Thanks for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Absolutely. That was such a pleasant surprise.
Good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you about the new album. So talk to me a little bit about Down. It's coming out during this pandemic where we've had very limited access to fans over the last year and a half. What does this album mean to you?
Well, it means a lot of things to me. It's, first of all, it's a debut record. I've always been wanting to produce a record, but it just never felt quite right. It's like I couldn't, find my real identity, and I didn't want to just throw out, a regular record like full of standards that have none of my personality. And so I kept holding back. But last year, because I had so much extra time in my hands, and I was in the house, I really was able to discover different things about my musicality. I've always been a little bit afraid of exploring my compositional side of my musicianship, but last year it's like I really found the way to unblock my so-called writer's block in some way, and it was due to a deep dig into the song that opens the record is a personal arrangement of Beautiful Love, and I wrote it 2-3 days before going into the studio. It was very inspired. So everything happened in a very organic way. I don't know if I'm making any sense, and I apologize if some of my phrasing might not be that fluid, but I'm Italian, so what this art form is for. And so through listening to my uncle's record and thinking about, my ancestors and what they did with the music, I kind of opened a little passage through my soul, and I was able to connect on a different level with music and reconnect to the reason why I started doing music. And that really started the whole process for the record, from writing songs to writing new arrangements. I wrote...
for a debut album, you have guest appearances by Sean Jones and Warren Wolf. That's pretty profound to have heavy hitters like that. What's that mean to you?
It means a whole lot. Mind, I'm not a super young upcoming singer. I've been professionally doing this for over 20 years. I started when I was in my teenage years in India, and then I migrated here. I got very lucky that I landed in Baltimore, because everybody wants to go to New York, and it makes a lot of sense. That's what I wanted to do myself, but destiny brought me to Baltimore and to the D.C., Washington area. And I got really, really fortunate to meet these two and other wonderful musicians that live here or that are very active here. It made me feel pretty amazing, the fact that they both had no hesitation when I asked if they wanted to be part of this record or not. Because, you can say, oh, I'm too busy for it, or, you can always make up some excuse, but I didn't even have to finish the question. When I was asking Sean if he wanted to be on the record, I just started mentioning that I was thinking about the studio, and I didn't even have to ask. He said, yep, I want to be part of it. It makes me feel amazing. because it's that little, I don't know, it's like having a little confirmation that what I'm doing is the right thing, and that all these years and the sacrifices that I've made in really leaving my family and on the people that I love to pursue my career were actually the right thing, and that those sacrifices were not in vain, but that they are actually slowly bringing something back that I kind of started thinking they were not that I wasn't going to get anything back. I started doubting myself in the choices. So having them, it's a confirmation that I just have to be a little more patient and keep pushing, but that I'm on the right path.
So talk to me about growing up in Italy. Talk to me a little bit about how you got involved with singing and jazz.
Well, I grew up in a musical musical family, and my father owns a music store. He owns a lot of records, of course, because we sell them. And I remember that one of the first songs that he taught me how to sing was Dream Little Dream. He would play Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong. He loves Ray Charles and all these amazing musicians. So I always gravitated towards that music because that's what my father really listened to. Although we just listened to anything, opera. My grandparents were opera singers, and we love pop music. Some of my uncles were pop singers in Italy. But it's something about jazz that just attracted me more. There's also the component about the fact that really not many pop artists or rock artists or whatever that was not jazz really resonated with my instrument. I have a very unusual low voice for a standard female singer. Through jazz, I actually bumped into singers that had similar sounding voices, or the use of the voice was a lot more gentler than the usual pop belting, and that attracted me. The one thing that really made me gravitate towards it was the freedom. I was always attracted to improvising. I remember when I was very young, I was like in middle school, I didn't know that I was scat singing, but I was scat singing over this old tune called Green Onions. I'm sure you've heard it. It's like an organ tune from the 60s. And so I always gravitated toward improvising, and I always wanted to do things in a different way. Even when I was performing non-jazz music, I would always naturally go in different places. Once I got familiar with jazz, it just really kept feeding my desire to be spontaneous and to go different places and to feel free to also arrange in a different way songs without anybody really getting too offended, or people that are used to sing songs as they are in the record of pop artists. They don't like things done a little differently. But in jazz, we have the freedom to really give our full personality to the song, and I guess that was a huge reason why I really gravitated towards it.
So what was the first live jazz show you ever saw that really impressed you?
Oh, that's very difficult because I've been going to concerts since before I remember. But I remember vividly one Didi Bridgewater concert. She was in my hometown. She was in Terni with a wonderful band, and I was just enchanted by the freedom and the range that she uses and the dynamics, and being, going from being super gentle and delicate with her voice, like a caress, and moving to a more powerful way of using her instrument. That was really, I remember that concert like I just saw it, and I guarantee you it was over 20 years ago.
Was it always a dream of yours to get to America so that you could, kind of really, be a part of the American jazz scene and kind of pursue some things that you wanted to, or was it just something that kind of happened?
It wasn't always my dream because I always wanted to sing, but I never dreamt of singing. I always thought that it was going to be a thing on the side because I was never, although I grew up in a musical family, I was never pushed by my family to pursue this career. I guess because of the past family members' traumas with the business, I was actually always discouraged to try it. It actually happened when I was already like 25, 26 years old. I went to a Berkeley workshop of 2 weeks in Umbria Jazz, which is a festival in the center of Italy, and they do this great workshop of 2 weeks with our fantastic, Berkeley teachers. And Donna McElroy, she was teaching there, and I remember what she said to me, and it resonated a lot with me. She was the first person to make me think that this was kind of what I was supposed to do. And from that moment on, that's when I started thinking about the United States. I first went to Paris for some time, and everybody there was telling me I needed to go to New York and just be in the United States. And one thing after the other, I navigated my way through here. Of course, when you're little, you always dream about going to different places, and the United States, because of the music, are always the number one attraction for us. I never dreamed of doing it until I was well in my 20s.
What is it that you like the best about being a professional musician?
That's an interesting question. It's not easy. You know what I think it is? I am naturally, and nobody really can tell when they see me, but I'm naturally very an introvert, and I'm a little shy, and I'm very reserved. I don't share much of my emotions and my state of minds with many people. When I perform, when I do this, those are the 2-3 hours that allow me to get a little more vulnerable and to open and to release that emotional side of me that it's always a little secluded through my, my natural state of being very reserved. And I think that that's a great outlet, because otherwise I would probably be a lot more sad or more stressed, actually. I would be more stressed. But being on stage, and even if it's not a stage and it's just a gig or a jam with some friends, I release so much of the emotions that I experience on a daily basis, and it just makes me feel better. It just really makes me feel a lot better. I think that's the number one thing.
So how does it feel to, after all of this time of COVID and the lockdown and quarantine, to get back on stage? What has that been like, and what do you hope we realize about the power of live music now that we're back?
Well, going back has been fantastic. I actually have been kind of on and off performing last year too, because of I'm in a different state, and so some things compared to New York, like we could perform outdoors and stuff like that. But I remember the first concert that I did last year after 6 months in the house. I was a total wreck. I forgot how to do it. I was so nervous. So going back to performing has been very emotional, and it made me really realize how I've been kind of taken for granted the gift of being able to do this. And until I was back on stage, I kind of forgot how much amazing it is to have this tool, to be able to perform live in front of people, to see their faces, because, doing it online, it's cool. You're in your living room and you don't have to do much, but you are missing that energy, that eye contact that really drives me to perform as, my best abilities. To answer your second question, what I hope, and I'm seeing that it's kind of happening for now, is that for the audience to not underestimate that gift of live music either, and to come out and support musicians and support the music, and really remember how unique the live music experience is. And so far, I've been seeing a lot more people coming out. So I think that we've been in the house for so long, we're all tired of it, and people are really happy to come out and to support and to just be part of a unique moment.
So everyone has a perception or an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of yourself. Who do you think you are?
Nobody has ever asked me this. I mean, not in a kind way. Usually people say, like, who do you think you are? But that's not
right.
it.
Right.
I think I am a very flawed person that has been afraid of showing too much of these flaws, but that now is discovering that it's absolutely perfect not to be perfect. And I'm a very positive person. I actually really want to bring joy when I meet people, when I perform, but in general in life, I'm a very helpful person. So I think I am, just a person who has a lot of different experiences to share with others. And that, I don't know, this is a very difficult question.
You answered it. You totally answered it. That's perfect.
Okay. I'm glad.
Yeah.
This wasn't a job interview, because I don't know how that would have gotten me the gig.
Yeah, I don't know how fair that would be, but at any rate, thank you for opening up. I saved the hardest one for last. Thank you for taking some time out. Good luck with the album and the return to stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the honor to talk to you, for giving me the platform. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope you like the record.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview. We give you a bit of insight into the finest vocalists from Italy, Baltimore, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Irene for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at YouTube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.